January 6th. Others egged the president on. Others who could have acted refused to do so. In this case, the White House counsel was so concerned about potentially lawless activity that he threatened to resign multiple times. That is exceedingly rare and exceedingly serious. It requires immediate attention, especially when the entire team threatens to resign. However, in the Trump White House, it was not exceedingly rare, and it was not treated seriously. This is a clip of Jared Kushner addressing multiple threats by White House counsel Pat Cipollone and his team of lawyers to resign in the weeks before January 6th. Jared, are you aware of instances where Pat Cipollone threatened to resign?
I kind of, like I said, my interest at that time was on trying to get as many pardons done. And I know that, he was always, him and the team were always saying, oh, we're going to resign. We're not going to be here if this happens, if that happens. So I kind of took it up to just be whining, to be honest with you.
Whining. There's a reason why people serving in our government take an oath to the Constitution. As our founding fathers recognized, democracy is fragile. People in positions of public trust are duty-bound to defend it, to step forward when action is required. In our country, we don't swear an oath to an individual or a political party. We take our oath to defend the United States Constitution. And that oath must mean something. Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Chuck, what's your reaction to not just what Jared Kushner had to say, but your overall take on the evidence, legal take on the evidence presented so far?
Sure, Mika. Well, first, as to Mr. Kushner, right at the intersection of remarkably arrogant and remarkably dumb lies his comment. I mean, when a White House counsel, principled, thoughtful White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, sees, 5-alarm fires all around him, red flags, and threatens to resign, that ain't whining. And anybody with an ounce of common sense and an ounce of respect for the office of the presidency would understand that. And so it is a remarkably dumb and arrogant comment to characterize that as whining. You ought to listen if your White House counsel tells you that you're in trouble. And in terms of the evidence, so I thought the presentation last night was very well done. They have lots of disparate parts. It's a multi-layered, multifaceted presentation, which will play out over the next several hearings. But there are really two types of evidence, at least that I thought about last night. Stuff that's compelling, emotional, like the testimony of Officer Caroline Edwards. I thought she was honorable and valiant and dignified, and everything that's good about law enforcement. And then there's stuff that's probative. By probative, I mean, Mika, stuff that tends to prove the central thesis. The central thesis here, I submit, is that President Trump knowingly and intentionally engaged in a plot, directed a conspiracy to undermine the electoral vote count, to impede Congress, and to unlawfully hold on to power. And so some of the evidence was probative of that, and some of the evidence was simply compelling and emotional. Congresswoman Cheney did a wonderful opening statement. It's sort of like one you might see in a criminal case in a federal court, and I was a federal prosecutor. She promised what they were going to adduce. She promised what they would prove over the course of the hearings. Now they got to do just that. They got to prove it.
Reminds me what a lawyer I worked for right out of law school said. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell it to them, and then you told them what you told them. And it certainly looks like Liz and the rest of the committee certainly accomplished the first of those tasks. I'm wondering, Chuck, earlier this morning, we had George Conway on who said there's certain people at the Justice Department that should take note of what they heard last night, because it certainly does sound like they're building a prima facie case against Donald Trump himself. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, Joe, I have a couple of reactions to that. So one, I'm sure people are paying attention at the Justice Department. Two, the Justice Department has the ability, much more so than Congress, to investigate crimes. They have grand jury subpoenas. They have the FBI. They have a whole bunch of investigative resources that Congress simply doesn't have. Congress has done a great job. Don't get me wrong. But it's not as if the Department of Justice would be unable to investigate this without Congress. And then I think there's a third and final and really difficult question, which is the difference between could the Department of Justice charge President Trump and should the Department of Justice charge President Trump. And I'll give you an old analogy. After Nixon left office, Ford pardoned him, as you well know. And Ford was excoriated for doing that by editorialists around the country and by members of the Senate and the House. Ted Kennedy called it, a dark, I don't remember the precise quote, but a dark day and an awful thing for Ford to have done. 25 years later, Senator Ted Kennedy gave President Gerald Ford, long gone from office, the Profiles in Courage Award for having made that very decision to pardon Nixon, because he understood that as a country, we needed to put that chapter behind us. And so that's the difference, I think, Joe, between could and should.